Hi all, welcome to the Polco Minute, where you hear the latest best practices and news in local government and civic engagement. I'm Angelica Waddell with this week's headlines. We start today's episode with some guidance on how local communities can prepare to receive their funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The act became law on March 11th and includes direct aid to 19,000 municipal governments. Funds will be distributed through the new local fiscal recovery fund administered by the Treasury Department. Writers Jennifer Steinfeld and Mark Wallace are part of the National League of Cities federal advocacy team, and they expect to see guidance released in the next 60 days. And as Steinfeld and Wallace point out, those funds are yours. No need to apply. Every city, town, and village is entitled to a calculated amount of the $65.1 billion set aside for municipalities. Communities with more than 50,000 residents will receive their funding directly from the Treasury Department. Communities of less than 50,000 residents will receive funding through the state. And Steinfeld and Wallace have offered a few principles to help guide your community recovered plans. First, they recommend that you assess government operations and community needs. A comprehensive needs assessment should include internal and external stakeholders, individuals, families, businesses, organizations, as well as each level of government. According to Steinfeld and Wallace, the federal government has prioritized the fast distribution of funds. This means that the sooner you develop a recovery plan, the faster you can support and stabilize your community. The next tip from the federal advocacy team is to use each revenue source strategically. The local fiscal recovery funds are the only pot of money going directly to municipalities, but they are not the only pot of funding that is available. It's important to educate yourself about what the bill includes and identify linkages between your community needs and specific programs. And working synergistically with state and county officials can help align funding priorities and limit complications. Our next article today covers an interview with Matt Fulton, the Vice President of National Engagement at Polco. Fulton says that engaging residents will help local governments effectively allocate the funding they receive under the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA as I'll call it today. Fulton says that ARPA funding is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for communities to think strategically about how to recover from the pandemic and move forward. In order to spend this money in the very best way possible, it's essential to understand what impacts COVID has had on residents. By engaging community members about their current reality, leaders can better identify areas that will have the most impact. Making informed and wise decisions involves collecting data and working to understand the values of residents. And the best way to engage with the community is to make engagement a part of the ongoing community culture. Engagement is an iterative process, says Fulton. It allows you to start at a high level and work your way down to the details. As an example, leaders could survey residents and ask them to prioritize different budget service categories. And then in a follow-up, leaders can drill down into more of the details and specifics of what resident expectations and priorities are for each of those budget categories. And Polco's suite of tools make community engagement both accessible and easy. Rather than gathering input from emails or social media chatter, Polco offers an aggregated data summary. Local governments will need to show documentation related to how they spend their ARPA funds. By including resident voices in the process, leaders can be sure they are allocating funds in a way that benefits the future of the community. And survey results provide tangible documentation that can be used to justify your decisions. And finally today, we're going to wrap up by sharing a few traits that are shared by many extraordinary leaders. In a recent article written by Michael Nathanson, He shares his experiences working with extraordinary individuals. From professional athletes and Olympians to business titans and pioneers, Nathanson has identified commonalities that he believes lead to their personal, societal, and business success. And the first thing extraordinary leaders possess is a clear and simple mission that guides them in almost everything they do. Nathanson says that what we perceive as extraordinary may, in fact, actually be extreme focus. The second commonality that extraordinary leaders have is a tendency to embrace their interdependence with others. Accomplishing amazing things is rarely ever a solo act, and it's critical to understand that our fate is always tied to those around us. Functioning alongside and synergistically with others in an ecosystem is essential to reach our fullest potential. And finally, extraordinary leaders don't view their hard work as hard work. From our perspective, they may look like the hardest workers ever seen. But from their perspective, their efforts are a natural and self-sustaining way to achieve their mission. Thanks for watching the Polco Minute with me. My name is Angelica Waddell, Director of Communications at Polco National Research Center. Polco makes it easy for local governments to get accurate and reliable feedback from their communities. How are you keeping up with today's engagement issues and trends? Join a panel discussion with other local government leaders and us nationwide. Connect with me on LinkedIn or send us a note at polco.us/contact to let us know if you're in. See you next time.